Earlier this hour, advisory firm Clark Street Associates announced that in partnership with broker-dealer Finalis, it's launched a federal equity advisory platform designed to help companies navigate the U.S. government's expanding use of equity investments. And joining me now in studio with more is Clark Street Associates CEO Stephen Empedocles. Stephen, thank you so much for joining.
Yeah, thank you for having me, Kristen. Over the past year, we've seen the federal government start to make equity investments into commercial companies. Earlier today, we announced a new strategic partnership between Clark Street Associates and Finalis, one of the top investment banking firms in the U.S., to combine government strategy with securities transaction expertise to help companies pursue those deals. Now, equity investments by the government are going to be a huge opportunity for companies in a number of different sectors, but transacting those deals is much more complicated than I think people realize. The unique and sometimes unusual needs and motivators of the federal government have always been the world of DC lobbyists and government insiders, while securities transactions have always been the realm of Wall Street. And in the past, neither of these industries has really had to transition into the other's space in any meaningful way. That's created a large gap between the two that's surprisingly hard to bridge. This is one of those truly blue ocean opportunities where nobody is really an expert in this specific type of deal making yet. And in fact, even the people on the government side are still figuring things out. With our new partnership, Clark Street and Finalis are going to change that by combining deep government strategy and commercial technology expertise with top-tier investment banking resources to help bridge the gap between those worlds and help companies pursue those deals.
It's fascinating. I want to talk why this matters now, because we've seen the government take equity stakes in companies. Why has the government changed its approach to funding in this way?
You know, governments taking equity stakes in companies is not a new idea. European countries have done it for a long time. We've seen the U.S. do it in the past with things like bailouts. And the fact is, the U.S. government has invested in commercial companies that they feel have strategic value for the country for as long as I can remember. But they've done it through different types of funding vehicles, things like grants, loans, contracts. And these types of non-dilutive funding opportunities still exist, and they're still being used aggressively by the government. Equity investment is just the newest tool in the government's toolkit to accomplish those goals. And we've seen that in addition to pursuing the investment, government is also willing to bring unique deal points to the table as part of these transactions, things like permits and offtake agreements to help the companies that they're investing in be successful.
Mm-hmm. What are the advantages of participating in these types of deals?
So it's important to remember that the government is not a pure financial investor. They are a strategic investor. But they're a strategic investor that's unlike any other, with really unique motivators for doing investments, things that traditional investors might not consider. For example, a traditional investor might not care if a company is helping to establish the United States as a world's leader in AI, and yet the federal government may see that as a primary investment decision. The other thing that's really important is that, as I said before, the government has a unique toolkit of resources they can bring to these deals to enhance the value for the companies they're working with. For example, Trilogy Metals is a critical minerals company that announced a federal equity investment back in October. Since then, their stock is up 150%. Now, that is not a result of the $35 million equity investment the government made. It's because, as part of that deal, they also gave approval for a road that connected their mine site to the rest of the world, transitioning that company from being a minerals exploration company to a mine developer. Now, that's the kind of deal point that no other strategic investor in the world could have provided other than the federal government. And the U.S. government has a lot of these types of tools. What's important is for companies to understand what those tools are and how, and more importantly, who within the government they need to convince in order to bring those to the table.
Stephen Empedocles, he's CEO of Clark Street Associates, joining me here in studio at the New York Stock Exchange. Stephen, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.